Whether it's the perfect headphones, or couch, or sneakers, there's a place to find what you actually love. Pinterest shopping.
I have been personally able to witness firsthand how social media has impacted the way that trends are created and spread. Prior to coming to Pinterest, I was a magazine editor for about 15 years. So that means I started as a magazine editor before social media even existed, which is crazy to say because it feels like it's been around for a long time. But what that meant was, I really was at the forefront of creating and disseminating trends. And the way that we figured out what these trends were was, going to Fashion Week, going backstage, seeing what was on the runways, going to red carpets, seeing what celebrities are wearing, and then writing about it for our audiences. What's interesting is that this all took place months before the content would actually hit the reader. So for example, the spring fashion shows happen in September. So we're seeing trends way earlier. Nothing's happening really quickly. So the timeline has really changed. And also what has really changed is that system, that really was like a velvet rope, right? Like that was not accessible to the mainstream audience. That was something that editors did. We decided, here's the trend, and gave it to the consumer. Whereas now with social media, we've dropped that velvet rope. They have direct access to what's happening on the runway, to what's happening on the red carpet. And the thing is, they're actually creating trends. Creators are creating those trends, and then we're seeing them and we're following them. And it's happening much quicker than previously before. So I think, that the trend journey is really different now. I 100% think it is social first. So people are seeing, what somebody's wearing, maybe they're in the States and they see something in London or in Spain on social media, and then they start searching for it. And what's amazing is that you can come to Pinterest and search something that you see and get that inspiration. I also think what's really different in the past is a trend used to come out and it used to be for one body type. It used to be, you would only see it on, who a magazine deemed was the right person for it to be on. What really drew me to social was that you can find somebody that looks like you. You can feel seen in social so that you can see like, hey, I can pull off a crop top, right? I can pull off pink hair. There's all these things that before people were told maybe not explicitly, but based off of visuals, like that's not for me. Whereas I think what's really exciting is now people can see those trends are for me. So they're coming on Pinterest, they're searching for that. In the vein of it being for me, we have these really great filters that you can do, like skin tone filter to see like, hey, can this trend be for me? We have hair pattern filters to see, hey, can this trend be for me? How can I personalize this? So I think that's really, really different. So I think people get more excited about trends than they used to because they can see it on themselves. So I think that's a huge differentiator. And so when people are going on and searching, what's one of my favorite parts about Pinterest is that we have all this data around what people are searching for. And what that means is that we can see trends and leverage that data and get early insights to identify what's coming next before anyone else. So we have this program that a team runs called Pinterest Predicts. So at the end of every year, we have this program, this program that identifies the not yet trending trends of the upcoming year. And it's basically like predicting, like, here's what the big trends are going to be, because we're able to see those search trending, what people are like dabbling in, what they're getting excited about. And the very cool part is that 80% of the time we're right and we called it, which is so fun to see those predictions come true. So one of the big ones last year we predicted was dopamine dressing, which I'm kind of rocking the dopamine dressing right now. So that's really bright colored clothing that uplift your mood. And I'm sure you saw all throughout this past year, that was like the biggest story in fashion, right? Dopamine dressing, which I think we all needed that lift of serotonin in our wardrobe this past year. Another really cool one that we in the beauty front called was skinimalism. So this is like that minimal makeup look. You're seeing that a lot on like celebs and on social media, that like dewy, minimal skin look. And that really popped off this year too. So I think the intersection of searching for trends, seeing those build, and being able to see yourself in the trends is how those trends are created today. Exactly. And I think what's amazing about taking that barrier down where, again, that's a very elite thing, right? To be able to travel to Paris, to Milan for the shows, that's not accessible to everyone. And that was really gate kept in the fashion and beauty industry, a real perk of that job, right? But that wasn't accessible. And what's so cool about all the international fashion weeks now is that creators are going to those fashion weeks, right? You're seeing them sit front row. If you're following a creator, they're taking you on their journey in real time. And I think that's the big difference too. Like, when editors went, it was like you would see the fruits of that trip months later. Now you're getting to see, hey, like, look at this small detail on the runway. Look at that shoe. I want to try that shoe. And you're getting it through the lens of your favorite creator. So if it's someone that looks like you, they're talking about, oh, I'm going to style this like this. And you're getting that idea. So I think what's really cool is that social is, a pathway to the world. And, Pinterest is all over the world. So you can follow creators from all over the world and get their localized point of view from where you're sitting at home. So I think that is really amazing. And what I've seen too is that, and I know personally as a former industry professional, is that all these industry professionals are on Pinterest, right? They're creating their mood boards, their look boards for the season. So you can really like get inspired by their curation as well, to see how things are going. So you don't need to buy the ticket to Europe, to all these countries. You can just get online and see what's happening, which I think is really exciting. Okay, so this is a tough question. I think, former colleagues of mine are going to get upset about this, but I think there will always be a place for both, right? I think, you want that really personalized experience that a creator offers you. But sometimes you want that really authoritative industry voice on certain things for deeper dives on things, investigative journalism, right, into the industry and things like that maybe you can't get from a personal POV. But I think in terms of what creators have done for the industry is make it so that it's accessible to everyone. And I think that's really, really important. There's only so much space on the newsstand for so many magazines, and they're not necessarily catered to every single individual. I think the personalization that places like Pinterest offer, you just can't find elsewhere. So I think that's a really special point. Interesting question. I think where you get into sort of the homogenous trend zone is if you as a consumer are not diversifying your own feed. And I think it's up to a pinner, someone on social to actively take work to follow people of different backgrounds, to follow people that don't look like themselves so that they're not just seeing, the same type of person. I think it's really important to support creators of all different types, to make sure that it doesn't become super homogenous. Like I really do think that that's the responsibility of a person to be like, hey, everybody on my feed, maybe is white. Like, this is a problem. Like, I should actively be following Black and brown creators to diversify my feed. So I think it's a two-step process. Like, we need to support creators of color. And when that happens, the ecosystem becomes much more diverse and exciting. That's so many trends are starting in those communities. So we should really give them their due and make sure that we're following and supporting them. I would say at Pinterest, we're actively working against that. It is such a priority of Pinterest to make sure that creators of color get their shine on the platform. We have this amazing program called the Creator Fund in the US and the UK, where we work with creators to broaden their reach, to make sure that they are getting that distribution of other creators. So I don't think we have that implicit bias built into our algorithm. In fact, we actively work to not be like that. Yeah. What is really cool about Pinterest is that people come with an intent to buy something, which is very unique to other platforms. Again, where I mentioned that much more like entertainment based. So they're coming to discover a product. And what's cool is that they're not like hyper focused yet on what that brand is that they want to buy. They just know, like, I'm looking for something for, a holiday party coming up. I want to get inspired there. What could that be? So it's really kind of that idea of taking that real world shopping experience, but digitally, where, we used to go to the mall, walk around, like, I'm open to ideas, right? When you were at the mall, you're like, that could look cool on me. Oh, that's interesting. That's what walking into Pinterest is like. So they're open to that. And what's great is that brands then are, at the perfect intersection to give them what they're looking for. So whereas sometimes ads on other platforms, you're like, why am I looking at this? I'm just trying to be entertained. Like, stop, don't hit me with an ad. Here on Pinterest, ads are additive. They really bring that experience because people are looking for that. And if you have a great piece of content as an advertiser, you've partnered with a creator that really makes sense with your brand, right? And they're showing, how to style a great holiday dress. Like, that is additive to me and to pinners everywhere, to that experience, because they're looking for that. So I think it's really just making sure that when there are ads, that they add value to the person that's looking at them, and that they help them make that decision. So I think that is a really unique thing and a great thing for the customer on Pinterest.
Whether it's the perfect headphones, or couch, or sneakers, there's a place to find what you actually love. Pinterest shopping.